This is CBC Vancouver News.
I mean, 2 people dead, and for what reason?
I just don't get it.
Shock in a small Chilliwack community after a man and woman are killed. Their elderly neighbor is now charged with murder.
I have heard a lot of people have just run out of their EI claims, and there's nowhere else to get money from.
Lights off. Tens of thousands of film and TV workers in BC are still unemployed as the Hollywood writers and actors strikes grind into a 4th month.
And I've had a few moments where I'm like, oh no, I need to just leave the industry and start fresh.
It's devastating to our hearts and our souls.
And returning to ruin. Wildfire evacuees go back to West Kelowna to see what's left of their lives.
Mother Nature came in here ferocious, killed everything, and she stopped here.
And try to rebuild. Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. They were neighbors until something went terribly wrong. Police have now identified the victims and suspect involved in a double killing in Chilliwack. Shots rang out Wednesday night in a small mobile home park. As John Hernandez reports, many people can't believe what happened.
We're just all in shock here. And we're just kind of trying to find our normalcy again.
Bewilderment and sorrow in this small Chilliwack mobile park where police tape has sectioned off a stretch of road after 2 people were found dead on Wednesday evening.
Well, it's sad, it really is. I mean, 2 people dead, and for what reason?
RCMP were called to the neighborhood at about 7:45 p.m. after reports of gunfire. Melody Spedding watched out her window as Mounties confronted the suspect.
He just walked slowly towards the police vehicles, and he got down on all 4s and crawled to the side of the police vehicle, and I just watched them arrest him.
On Friday, police identified the alleged shooter as 83-year-old Robert Freeman. The victims were also named 58-year-old John Kavaloff and 67-year-old Valerie Smith. Police hope the information will help advance the investigation, while many residents are left trying to piece together exactly what happened.
I knew all the people involved, and they're all nice people. I feel like they're all victims. It's a shame that some kind of altercation led to the violence.
Some residents told CBC News there had been minor conflicts between the suspect and the victims involving their pets over the past few months. Police have released few details, but are calling the attack an isolated incident.
I don't understand it. I can't put 2 and 2 together to come up with an answer.
Pauline Smith says she knows the suspect well, but she's at a loss for words.
He was laid back. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke. But he was out every day with people. So it's not that he hated people.
Residents believe much of the incident was caught by this security camera next door to the victim's home. Police cleared out of the area by Friday afternoon, but said the investigation is ongoing. John Hernandez, CBC News, Chilliwack.
The man charged in connection with a triple stabbing in Chinatown last weekend appeared in provincial court today for a second time. Blair Evan Donnelly appeared via video for a bail hearing. A publication ban is in place on any evidence that was presented in that moment. Donnelly is accused of stabbing 3 people while on a day pass from the Forensic Psychiatric Hospital in Coquitlam. He's been incarcerated there since he was found not criminally responsible for killing his 16-year-old daughter in 2008. Premier David Eby has appointed former Abbotsford Police Chief Bob Rich to look into why Donnelly was allowed out. Donnelly's next court date is September 27th. The Hollywood writers and actors strike is well into its 4th month now. Its length and its reach is described as shocking, well beyond Los Angeles. As Belpuri shows us, it's put tens of thousands of film workers here in BC out of work.
At local production studios, it's literally quiet on the set. Any other year at this time,
we will be shooting episode 4 or 5 of the new season of Good Doctor. Here we would have 150 crew and another 50 or 60, 80 background performers and actors working.
That's just one of 8 stages at Bright Light Pictures.
The whole property would have at least 1, if not 2 additional series shooting here. So we would have 750 to 1,000 people working here in the lot.
Film and TV production in BC directly and indirectly employs approximately 88,000 people. Now most of them are out of work because of a strike in the U.S. entertainment sector.
There's very limited work right now, and the union that I'm in has approximately 10,000 members, and there's definitely not enough work for 10,000 members. A bag that I would bring to set.
Last summer, there were 50 productions underway in BC. This summer, only 5.
I have heard a lot of people have just run out of their EI claims, and there's nowhere else to get money from.
The production standstill is bad for business.
We're not even making enough to pay our employees. Well, we're paying them, but we're not bringing enough income in to pay them.
To make it work, the owners of this prop shop have stopped taking a salary themselves.
And I know that there are lots of related business that depend on film in this area that they're done. They're gone out of business. They couldn't last.
On the heels of the COVID pandemic, the timing couldn't be worse. The Hollywood strike is almost 5 months old. Any glimmers of hope so far have faded quickly. And right now, there's no end in sight.
The workers united!
Major issues for the writers and actors include wages, the use of artificial intelligence in productions, and residuals related to streaming. Hollywood North generates nearly $5 billion a year for the province's economy, 85% of it through American movies and shows. The provincial government wants to increase domestic production in BC.
I'm going to be heading back to Ottawa in a couple weeks. And one of the things I'm really interested in is how the support for national programs is being distributed across Canada. We're third in line, and it's a significant difference behind Ontario and Quebec.
The strike has lasted longer than many had expected.
And I've had a few moments where I'm like, oh no, I need to just leave the industry and start fresh. But then I'm like, I don't know what that means.
With no hint of a settlement, some fear the dispute may stretch well into next year. Until then, plot lines and productions remain under wraps. Belle Puri, CBC News, Burnaby.
The provincial government has now lifted the state of emergency put in place last month because of wildfires. Around West Kelowna, hundreds of people are finally going home this week as officials downgraded evacuation orders in some of the hardest hit areas. But as Brady Strachan shows us, for some, it's a return to very little.
Yeah, so this is our place.
Claire LaRose and her husband, Jerry, walk toward the burnt-out shell of the house they've lived in for the past 36 years.
And it's just devastating to see, there's nothing left.
4 weeks ago, an aggressive wildfire tore through this rural neighborhood. Their home is one of dozens in the area burned down to its foundations. The surrounding forest is also forever changed. Blackened trees now dot the landscape, their branches charred.
All this area was places where we hiked.
It's a place we loved.
Yeah.
All the neighbors here, they love this area, and that's the part that's really tough. It's just you have to let go of an area that you've loved for so long.
Not far down the road, Jeff Finley has come to see what's left of his ranch.
Never really thought it would be this bad. We thought maybe something would burn and we'd still be back in business.
Apart from the green pasture and some fencing, the fire consumed almost everything on the ranch, including his barn and his family's home.
A lot of emotions going on. Everything's burnt, destroyed around us, but we immediately started putting up temporary fences with the idea of getting our horses back today, and that's what we're doing today.
One bright spot, though, the astonishing survival story of Pumbaa the pig. Weighing 300 pounds, the potbelly pig refused to load into trailers as the fire was encroaching.
You either make a decision of moving them as quietly as you can, and maybe they get on a trailer, which is very unlikely, or you leave them behind and hope that they choose the right place to survive, and Pumbaa chose the field.
Now, with the help of friends, Findley is replacing fencing so the rest of his animals can return. But with the surrounding forest so badly scorched, the ranch's trail riding business is uncertain.
I have no income, which unfortunately means I have to sell my second family, which is my horses, which we're really close to, right? So, yeah.
Like many here, Finley plans to rebuild, but he worries the road to recovery will be a long one. Brady Strachan, CBC News, near West Kelowna.
And tonight, an evacuation order has been issued for several properties because of a wildfire near Fort St. John. Take a look. People on 16 properties near and south of the Blueberry River First Nations are being ordered out. The First Nation itself is on evacuation alert. A reception center is open tomorrow morning from 9:30 a.m. to noon at the North Peace Arena in Fort St. John. People can also call 1-800-670-7773 if they need help leaving tonight. The Stoddard Creek wildfire is estimated at 290 square kilometers and considered out of control. It's believed to have been started by people. BC Wildfire Service says it expects high winds to drive fire growth this weekend across northeastern BC. A fire has torn the roof off of an historic hotel in the heart of the BC village of Salmo this afternoon. It happened at the 127-year-old Salmo Hotel earlier this afternoon. Witnesses say flames shot 4 meters into the air. No injuries have been reported. Even after crews got it under control, there were worries about hot spots after the roof was blanketed in that sheet of flame. It's not clear what sparked the blaze. The pub's owner says it's the largest employer in that community of 1,100 people. Salmo's mayor says they hope some version of the hotel can be saved. You might start seeing more multiplexes in Vancouver. Last night, City Council unanimously approved sweeping new zoning bylaws, allowing developers to build multi-unit homes in historically single-family home neighborhoods. One councillor, though, says while the plan is the biggest land use change the city has seen in decades, it's still not enough.
This multiplex proposal that was approved unanimously yesterday is really at the smallest end of the missing middle. It's the next step from where we were, but like you said, I don't think it goes far enough given the housing crisis that we're in.
Boyle says the 200 multiplexes projected to be built will not be adequate. The zoning changes will allow for 3 to 6 units on residential lots at a maximum of 3 stories. Multiplexes can have 7 or 8 units only if they're purpose-built rentals, and 1 unit must be lived in by the registered owner of the property. This new bylaw excludes the Shaughnessy neighborhood because of its heritage designation. One economist calls the move baby steps in the right direction, but argues it won't lead to enough housing during a serious shortage. After more than a decade and a half of planning, organizers of the new Vancouver Art Gallery held what they call a ground awakening ceremony today.
The construction of this facility is going to build incredible, it's going to create a lot of jobs. And the economic benefit after it's built, it's going to generate at least $84 million per year to the local economy.
The gallery has raised more than $340 million so far of its $400 million target, with support from private donors and all 3 levels of government. The gallery, which will be at Cambie and West Georgia, just down the street from the old location, will feature the largest display of Coast Salish art in Canada. The new gallery is expected to be finished by 2028. Today marks more than 200 years since Mexico's independence from Spain. For the Vancouver Mexican community, it was time to gather and celebrate.
We support each other, and we are brothers and sisters who came together as a community, as a Latin community.
Mexican Canadians marked the day with traditional food like tacos and tamales, dance performances, and arts and crafts. Still to come is a cry for freedom. That tradition is called the El Grito and commemorates the call to arms that triggered the Mexican War of Independence. That will happen at the Mexican consulate on Sunday. One of the Jewish high holidays began at sundown tonight. Rosh Hashanah, or the Jewish New Year, is a religious celebration held each fall. One of the big focus points is traditional food. A baker gives us a glimpse into the kitchen.
Rosh Hashanah is, the name Rosh Hashanah is head of the year. It means new year. And it is a super important holiday. It's celebrated everywhere outside of Israel for 2 days. And we celebrate every Jewish holiday on the eve of the holiday. Starts this year on Friday night and goes until Sunday at sundown. All of our holidays start at sundown and end at sundown. Right now, this is the beginning of a period we call the high holidays. The bread is called challah, and it is eaten every Friday night, but usually it's a braided bread that's long. and it's sort of straight. But on Rosh Hashanah, we make a special shape of the challah, and it's a round one. It's one of the symbols of round is the whole idea of the whole year, circle of life, everything coming back to where it started. So if we see people around this time of year, even not on Rosh Hashanah, but even for the last week at least, for sure, whenever I've seen anybody who's in the Jewish community, I say Shana Tova, which means Happy New Year. And on the actual days of Rosh Hashanah, we say often Shana Tova Umituka, which means have a sweet and Happy New Year.
I'm here marching for my daughter's future, and it's a pretty scary looking one at this point.
Thousands joined the Vancouver Climate March today, calling for urgent action on an issue timelier than ever. More on the story after the break. Thanks for watching our commercial-free live stream tonight. Families hurt by Calgary's childcare E. coli outbreak will get compensation. Alberta Premier Daniel Smith has promised a one-time payment of $2,000 per child. All shared kitchens serving daycares in the city, meanwhile, will be reviewed. But as Joe Horwood shows us, many parents are still furious the province didn't speak out earlier.
I'm heartbroken by what these families are going through.
An emotional Danielle Smith speaking for the first time since the E. coli outbreak began almost 2 weeks ago.
And I would just like to thank all of the medical professionals who have been doing everything they can to treat and to heal. And to comfort.
This just a day after parents issued an open letter imploring Alberta's premier to act. At least 337 people have been infected, most young children who went to daycare served by a central kitchen.
I want to be clear, the kitchen believed to be responsible is closed indefinitely.
Smith is now promising to review all shared kitchens that serve Calgary child care centres and look closer at the powers of public health inspectors to permanently shut down kitchens with violations. She's also promising financial help, a one-time $2,000 payment to families affected by the outbreak. A good start, according to parents, but some say more needs to be done.
I think that a public inquiry would be appropriate and suitable. I would really welcome the opportunity to hear testimony and perspective from daycare staff as well on the conditions of the condition, on the conditions of food service at the daycares. I think that would be very valuable.
I was happy that she acknowledged the lacking in the initial response, but I think one thing we were missing was an actual apology.
While the number of cases is slowing, this outbreak isn't over yet. Officials have shut down another daycare after a child there who did not attend any of the affected daycares tested positive for E. coli. Joe Horwood, CBC News, Calgary.
Thousands of people skipped class and work today to march through the streets for the Vancouver climate strike. They joined millions of others worldwide, mobilizing to demand urgent action on climate change. Michelle Gassoub was there.
We are here at
The Vancouver climate strike, there are hundreds, maybe even in the thousands as more people have joined, people that are currently marching down Cambie Street. Really interesting to see the range of people here, from very young people, students with their teachers, older people, families. This is actually a march that is happening all around the world. There are millions of people around the world taking part in many different cities, so this is just one small part of a larger movement. What are your thoughts on seeing just the number of people that have turned out and also the age range of people that are here?
It's really nice. It's very beautiful. It's very sad to see like children here. Like, it's good, but it's just like sad that they have to be fighting for these kinds of issues. I don't know.
Another interesting part of this march is that they actually contacted all the school boards and different school districts and got kind of the support of many of them. So there are actually students that are here with their teachers. It very much is a strike with people encouraged to not go to work, not go to school, and instead show up today. And what made you want to come out today?
Well, we're part of this mini school at Windermere, and it's actually focusing on like environmental stewardship, community engagement, social justice, and we just wanted to kind of just be a part of it.
In our hands we got for art and that. In our hands we got for our world. In our hands.
Back when I was younger, I always felt like that you could think globally and act locally, but I think that was kind of a little ineffectual because as much as I personally recycled, the system was something beyond my control, and that system is what's gotten us into this mess. So I think now we have to both think globally and act globally, and I'm so glad to be part of a global movement that is growing day by day.
And Meadows got a pretty good sign. Did she make that herself?
She did make this one. Yeah.
That's a good one.
She also has another side. It's a pretty important message.
And that's like I just got chills seeing that.
Yeah.
Like, how it goes through your mind thinking about the future?
I think it's incredible that I have to march in the streets to advocate for a livable future for my child. That's what goes through my mind. We shouldn't be here doing this, but we are.
Michelle Gassoub reporting earlier tonight. Here's a live shot of Harbour Centre. It's shaping up as another sunny weekend across much of BC. A touch cooler on the south coast, though. Darius will have your province-wide weather forecast right after this.
We did it, guys! We did it!
What they've done is open North America's first government-run safe injection site, a haven for heroin and cocaine users to shoot up under the supervision of nurses and counselors. The site includes a dozen sterile stalls and a post-injection room, a so-called chill room, all aimed to service the almost 5,000 injection drug users in Vancouver's downtown east side. It's been a long uphill battle that's brought together politicians and drug users. A battle that's cost lives. Larry Campbell is the city's current mayor and former coroner.
The first thing that went through my head was the huge number of people that have died and the number of them that I saw and had to deal with their families and needlessly died.
Patsy Thorpe belongs to one of those families. Her daughter, Alexandra, died a year and a half ago from a heroin overdose just a few blocks from this site.
She would have used a place like this because I think she would have probably looked for somebody to help her until she was ready to quit. So I'm delighted that this is open.
But not everyone may be so delighted. This small storefront has attracted big interest from the Americans. U.S. media flew in to focus on the safe injection site that Washington finds offensive.
The advocates of this have to twist the truth and have to pretend that there's much greater hopelessness than there is, and the cost that's going to be paid if that path is followed by more people is more people are going to die.
The fact is they're just uninformed, and I encourage them to go to the other 27 cities that have safe injection sites and study them closely.
You come down here, look at this public drug use, this epidemic of disease and the overdose deaths, and you tell me what we're going to do if this isn't it.
So far, this site is a pilot project, an almost $4 million investment in research to see if safe injection works or becomes yet another failed weapon in the war on drugs. Alan Waterman, CBC News, Vancouver.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell. Here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
With the changes to how Canada is able to access journalism online and on social media, we want to assure you that when you're looking for CBC News, you'll always be able to find us. Wherever you are in BC, local news, breaking stories, and the latest from around the world is at your fingertips any time of the day with the free CBC News app and online at cbcnews.ca. Download the CBC News app and stay connected wherever you are.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
The weekend is here, and CBC climate and science specialist Darius Mahdavi is here to tell us what we get for those who do get a little bit of a break.
Yes, and it is a nice one. We've got lots of sun across the south coast. For tomorrow, at least, we've got plenty of sun happening across the lower mainland, the southern half of the island. The only place we might get some cloud moving in is the North Island, where temperatures have come down a little bit compared to today. But other than that, we're looking a little bit above seasonal across the board, a few degrees, just because of all the sun that we're getting. That cloud not going to move in for quite a while yet, so temperatures across the southern interior are also staying very high. We're seeing those temperatures 7-8 degrees above seasonal for places like Kelowna and Kamloops, the Fraser Canyon. For September, we're looking really nice. Those temperatures carry into Saturday everywhere except for the coast, where temperatures do come down because we have that a new system moving in, bringing lots of cloud, blocking out that sun. Sunday, temperatures come down a little bit for places, and then Sunday and Monday, we have temperatures coming down a little bit some places. The interior sees a big drop because we have some marine air moving into the interior, brushing the coast. In terms of rain for tomorrow, it's really just brushing the northwest and down the coast, but that rain is going to move further south by Sunday as those clouds move down. We have another system moving through, so that ridge of high pressure that's been keeping temperatures up and keeping the south coast dry, finally going to break down, meaning we get that this rain that moves in tomorrow is the first one to sort of push that high pressure out of the area. And then by Sunday, overnight into Monday, we get a system that is able to make it into the lower mainland. Now, whether that comes to Vancouver is an open question, because if we do, it'll really just be a drizzle that happens overnight, Sunday into Monday. For places like the Fraser Canyon and up the Sea to Sky from Squamish to Whistler, they have a higher chance of rain Monday during the day as well. But in terms of smoke, it's mostly concentrated in the north, in central BC, and some local smoke happening around places like Kelowna. And then for temperatures and our conditions tomorrow, really seeing clearing across the board, plenty of sunshine happening, just clouds and rain for the coast, making its way to the island, probably in the afternoon Saturday. And for us in Vancouver, we've got plenty of sun happening all weekend, and then just that chance of rain, especially further inland.
Okay. Darius, thanks very much. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. You too.
And that is your late news for Friday. Thank you for joining us tonight on all this busy week. For news anytime, please check our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is tomorrow morning at 6:30 on CBC Radio 1. And Tanya Fletcher will have your late local news tomorrow night right here at 10:30. Have a good weekend. Please stay safe.